Welcome back to the Loan Officer Success Partner. I'm your host, Devin Dubuque, and today I've got a legend in the industry, published best-selling author, owner, operator, loan officer, technician, AI guru for Interconnect Mortgage Inc. And I should probably throw out the title of that book if you haven't heard of it yet, AI Prompt Handbook. So you probably already know who I'm about to announce, but welcome to the show, Toni Taylor. What's going on, Toni?
Devin, I'm good. That was quite an intro. Thank you so much. I'm like, thank you.
Quite an intro for an epic guest, you know.
Well,
and
I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you jumping on the show. You know, we've known each other for a couple of years now, met through a coaching program. And, you know, I think I reached out to you one day and I was like, okay, Jedi Master, teach me how to use AI. We had a little 30-minute call and my mind left. I'm like, okay, I have way too much to do, right?
Yeah, the rabbit hole begins. Now you're
Oh,
now
it
you're off to
does.
the races.
Yeah, you know, and what's funny is I think I've done pretty much everything you taught me on that call since then, and then even gained and grown since there. I hope so. It's been a little bit of time, right? But man, you know, you really opened up my eyes to AI and what you can utilize that for. But there's so much more that you offer, right? You know, I mean, you've been in this industry, you've been, you know, really just doing some amazing things, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show. So
I appreciate it. I love the AI. It's interesting because I would not consider myself like this naturally technical person at all.
right.
And the AI was, you're solving a problem like we do for everything, and so I saw AI as this vehicle that I could take away some friction areas in the business. And so that's kind of how I got excited about it. And then I think it was, it was just new and fresh, and it was fluid, and I felt like I was coming in we all are. It's really cool. Our generation, it didn't matter what your college degree said or what your background was. We were all coming in when it was born. So
That's
it
true.
was kind of cool to be able to kind of jump in at that point and decide to, really get
Pioneers.
into it. Yeah, yeah,
Pioneer in the mortgage industry with AI and how to utilize it, right? And utilize
yeah,
it to your advantage, you know, because again, you're not just a broker owner, but you're a producing broker owner. So you're out there, you're still doing loans yourself. And, you know, I have a feeling you probably are using AI to help with some of the heavy lifting. You've got your hands in a lot of places. How do you do it all as one person, right?
No, you have a team. You have an amazing team
Yeah,
around you. So
that's true.
AI, and I think that it's going to be very interesting to watch how AI continues to evolve. It's already evolved so fast. I tell my team, I'm like, it's here to take the mundane things off of our plate so you have time to be a human being and stay connected, because I think that's the risk. I think there's a lot of people that will avoid the human interaction. And if they do, and if they lean on these technological pieces and tools, I think it's going to cost them more than it's going to elevate them. So they've got to really guard how they spend their time and making sure that they use that as a vehicle to create more space to have human interaction.
Yeah, that's well, totally true, right? You know, and utilize just leaning into it, right, to allow you to have more human interaction. I think that's what's so ironic about it. You know, a lot of people think AI, how do we replace something, right? But what you're saying is it's not how do we replace the human action, how do we complement everything else we're doing so we can have more human interaction,
Yeah.
right?
Quality human interaction. Like before, if you're running so fast because there's so many things to do, it really can impact your ability to not to have somebody on the phone and not have them feel rushed, to make them feel like, you know what, I'm here with you and we're going to take all the time that you need and help you feel comfortable and safe and et cetera, whether they're a partner or a client. And I think that's one of the things that the tech is affording us, is the opportunity to take care of some of the noise so we can be in those spaces and be more intentional with it.
What does that look like though? What does it look like to lean into the AI, right? To give you some more of that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I mean, we use it in a lot of spaces. If you book a calendar appointment with me and for some reason you don't show up, the AI goes to work to try to get you back on the calendar. if you come into my website and you hit, a certain button, the AI is going to talk to you and have a really healthy conversation to try to get you into the calendar. So we use it for the calendar for a lot of stuff. We use it as follow-up for when we run our webinars and things like that. There's some communication that will go out immediately after a webinar is over with for the people that didn't attend, and to try to get them to, start an engagement. And it's kind of fun to watch. When we first started putting it on our systems, and I guess we did that about a year and a half ago, it would be fun. It'd be after hours and I'd watch the bot fire up and I'm like, oh, I'm nail biting a little bit. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing really good. My bot's name is Emma. And and so it's fantastic. And so the team knows that people are being attended to even after hours sometimes with a really quality response. And look, it is tech. Sometimes it's not perfect, but it's evolved tremendously even from where it was a year and a half ago. And now we've been in the process. I invested last year into outbound dialing AI.
Okay.
And because we're super particular about that experience from a consumer standpoint, we haven't actually, it's not gone live, but it's something that we've been working on, and we want it to be a really high quality when it happens. So that's coming hopefully in the near future, and hopefully sooner than later. I would love to have it in place before the third quarter this year.
What does that look like and sound like, though? Are we being, open about the fact that it is AI, or are
Yeah.
we just utilizing it as a, another extension of you?
Yeah, no, I think that you have to be open about it. Look, this is a business built on trust. So if you go out and you pretend you're something and they find out you're not, then forget it. Your relationship is over with. So I think you have to be honest. And so, we have a little fun with it. If you ask our bot if it's a bot, she responds, in a kind of a humorous way and says, of course, do you think a human could ever be this good, or something like that? So, we have a little bit of fun with it. But yeah, no, I don't think that there will be a limit to the types of phone calls that it will be able to take, but it will be able to do some routing for us. And, it's I think a higher quality than an IVR system, and somebody that can actually feel like they got a human being on the other end of the phone and that they're being mapped appropriately.
Well, that's important, right? Because, we've been in sales industry in general for a long time. And at the end of the day, if you don't answer, you don't pick up, what typically happens?
Yeah, yeah. You go to. I personally, I just had a call with another originator. We had an appointment a couple weeks ago. He had reached out to me for some stuff, and when I called him back, he had one of those paid answering services. And don't hate me for saying this if anybody listens or uses them, but I don't like them. I did use them for a period of time, and I don't like the fact that you're supposed to be calling my business and feeling like you're getting this personalized experience, but every time you call, you're being put through the same script, no matter what. And to me, it just isn't personal. So I think it's way more personal to go into somebody's inbox or to leave a message for somebody than it is to have a call center of different people answering your phones every time you call and asking questions like they've never spoken to you before in your life. So I'm not a fan of that. And the AI is going to have the ability to be better than those options, and give you that kind of hybrid experience.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I've used those services in the past as well, and literally gotten a text message from, a personal friend like, what in the heck is going on with your phones, man?
Yeah.
Like that didn't feel right, And when you're hearing
No.
that from them, what are your customers thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think about it. Look, we're all customers, right? Whether we may not be our own customer, but we're customers to other businesses. And, how do you like it when you call a business and that's the experience you get? I don't even like the push one for this, right? Like I'm like, by the time it gets to 5, I'm like, who'd I call? I don't even know why I'm on the phone anymore.
Pick up and have a conversation, right?
Yeah,
Like that's
exactly.
it. Yeah. And we've
Exactly.
gotten away from that, as a whole. And I think we're starting to get back to it. I think people are starting to realize that going through these phone trees and like, if I have to press 5 one more time, right? The phone's
Yeah.
getting broke, right? So
Yep.
I need to talk to somebody. I want to talk to them right now. And that's where, we've got programs like the one that I use today, Roam, ro.am. If you're listening in, those guys are fantastic. Where you can go to my website and jump in and talk to somebody on the team virtually, face to face in a matter of seconds, right? And I think this is what it really is about, because I do feel like we're at a shift in this industry where you're going to have some of these big box lenders out there that are going to have tech tools that are so good that you don't have to talk to anybody. And I think there's going to be a group of people that love that. But I think that there's going to be everybody else that still wants to have human interaction. And that's
Yeah.
where you got to get really good about making sure that you're leaning into the AI to make sure that you're getting those conversations, capturing those clients, right? And being
Yeah.
able to provide that one-to-one service, which is what people do genuinely want, right? They want to feel
Yeah.
like there's somebody on the other end of the phone.
Well, we've seen it. We've seen it with investors and underwriting, right? We know there's companies out there that are using a lot more technology, and their people are not as seasoned and don't have the level of expertise to handle a more a transaction that has some things that are, bordering in the gray areas, and interpretation could be left open. And, look, sometimes you can use that to your advantage. Sometimes you can't. And sometimes you feel like it's very black and white and they're not seeing it, and you're stuck because the computer's telling them no, instead of having somebody that can actually think. So it is, again, it's a fine line. I do. That being said, I think there's applications where it can help from an efficiency standpoint. If you
Absolutely.
get think about our condo markets, right? And my primary, we're in Florida, and so, as one of our offices, and we see a lot of condos. And if you get in an engineer's report that's 90 pages long, if you can pop that into AI and say, hey, look for this for me, and it can flush it out in seconds, how much time did you just save? And so now you've heightened your customer experience as well as you've heightened your team efficiency. Those are ways that I think that you can use these tools that are going to be really, really invaluable, as opposed to it just, doing the job, if you will. But what's that do? That leaves us the space to identify the problem or to clear the path. And it gives us the space to have the conversation and the interactions with the people that we want to be building those rapports with.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it is important because not every loan is cookie cutter, right? Not all clients are treated the same. And there are some, right? There are some very simplified loans out there for people that are A paper, W-2 income, don't need bonus and overtime, don't have a second job or self-employment, right? And those may fit great for those out of the box scenarios, right? Or standard box scenarios. But the out of the box stuff, you really need somebody who's an expert to be able to get in there and make sure that it's built in a way that it can close. And you may go from being a nope, not a chance, there's no way you can qualify for a loan, to a yes, we have a solution for you. It took a little bit of review. We had to really go through this thing, but you know what? There's a loan in here. And as a result, we're going to get that for you. And that's where the human interaction comes in.
Yeah. Well, and I think even I'll go a step further with that, is that, we as individuals and professionals in our industry should know our guidelines. We should be reading our guidelines.
Amen.
And because if you know the guidelines intimately, then you can navigate your way in and out of things. And that, to me, is one of the big differences between a really good, and I'm going to use the word originator, but I'm going to say that loosely, because hopefully we have teams behind us that are supporting us, and it's those teams that really understand those details, because those details, can make, look, I will tell you, so true story, I'll interview, right? One of the questions I'll interview a support person is, tell me what the difference is between a Fannie Mae 1-year tax return and a Freddie Mac 1-year tax return. And I will tell you, I could probably ask 100 people, 100 candidates, and I'd be lucky if I had 5 that would know the answer to that question. So they're waiting on a computer to tell them the answer. Know your guidelines, right? Know what the rules are, because then number one, you'll save time, because you'll know that, hey, Fannie says, as long as my AUS says I can do it with a 1-year tax return, I don't need that 5-year self-employment. Whereas if Freddie says I have to have that 5 years, you're looking at a deal and the person's been self-employed for 2, Freddie's off the table no matter what you do, right? So now you can just focus on Fannie and make sure that it's going to fit the box.
Don't go down that rabbit hole, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I had a similar situation. It's been years ago, and now Fannie does allow, but was utilization of the non-purchasing co-mortgagers' income for qualification purposes. And Freddie said yes, and Fannie said no. Now that's changed, right?
Yeah.
And that's another reason to know your guidelines, because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, these things are changing all
It's
the
fluid.
time.
Yeah, it's fluid.
And-
You can't trust it to be that way forever. There's a lot of movement out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about this. We've gone down a rabbit hole I didn't expect, but I guess the book kind of prompted it, right?
No pun intended.
AI Prompt Handbook. But I think I have that one. But anyways, hold on. Let's try it real quick. No, yeah, I do. No, that's drum roll. There it is. There we go. Okay, I was a little late to the punch on that one. Next time we'll get it. But let's talk about this. What's some tech that you're using right now in your business that you would say, man, this is it. It's a home run. You should go check this out right now.
Oh gosh. So I spent the last 8 years trying to consolidate tech because I had way
Haven't
too
we
many
all?
things. Yeah, I mean it really, I went from a lot of systems. So I'm on Microsoft Office Suites as my, foundation for that, for email, for calendars, and for communication teams. And then we use Arrive as our LOS. And then we pair that with Zapier, and we have a Go High Level platform, which is Cerberus that we work with. Brad Bront has that.
Shout out to Brad Brunt.
Yeah, Brad Brunt. I love me some
Cerberus is
Brad Brunt.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. And Brad is, he really just, he knows the business. He's been building on the platform for a long time. And I think he's
Facts.
done a really good job at simplifying things. And so we use that, and that encompasses our phones, it encompasses our calendars, it encompasses our SMS, it's our workflows, our webinar systems. It's kind of everything in one spot. Now, I
It
still
is.
use MoveTo, and I'm still using HomeBot, although I was on a call this morning, and I think you might have been on the Redder call.
I was.
Okay, so and I signed up. I'll have a call this afternoon because I actually think that FinLocker could actually replace my
Shout out
HomeBot.
to Brian View at
Yeah,
FinLocker.
yeah. I mean, I've started, my wheels were turning on this about how I could take this, and I think that that's something that we all have to do. Number one, financially, right? It's impossible to have everything. You can't work everything to the level that you should be, and I'm guilty of it. I have programs that are great that if I could just spend more time in them, I'd squeeze more out of them. And so if I can consolidate them, then that obviously makes that more manageable. So I kind of see the opportunity to consolidate that HomeBot piece into that credit piece. And
All
now all
right.
of a sudden, yeah, so I think it's a grand slam. I think I've got two agents that I'm working with right now that between the two of them, they have over 30,000 stale leads in their systems. And we're talking about doing some retargeting campaigns and things like that. But if I could invite people in to monitor credit and offer them that kind of a vehicle,
Amazing.
who's, a good chunk of those people are going to say yes.
Yeah, no,
And
his
now they're in
tool
our
is
ecosystem.
fantastic. So let's kind of back that up real quick. So we brought a lot of nuggets on there, and I just want to run back through this. Number one, Redder Morning Show.
Yeah.
Scott Hudspeth, great show, great guy. He brings on new guests every single day, Monday through Thursday. And there's always some great content on there. So if you're not checking that out, get over to the Redder Morning Show. Check that out. Check out Redder.
Yeah,
We
Redder is
didn't even talk
amazing.
about what
Yeah,
Redder
Redder,
is,
we
right?
didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Redder has, the ability to look at agent data, loan originator data, refinance opportunities, and they actually have their own almost HomeBot piece being built into it right now. It's in beta. If you check that one out, it's pretty slick too. And it's part of the Redder package, right? So not that Brian, now let's go over to FinLocker, right?
Yeah.
FinLocker, Brian View. Shout out to Brian. Brian and I actually have a podcast coming up this Saturday. We're doing a live stream, so check that one out. Brian's also a published author, and their program does a lot of great stuff. As you were talking about, soft pull credit reports for your database for any clients that have not moved forward or pulled the trigger yet, along with reporting features on their existing property and tools and triggers to help them know when the right time to sell and when the right time to buy is. That's a crazy good one.
Huge.
But then let's move over to Brad. And Brad, by the way, you beat him to the show because Brad's actually coming on here in the next couple of weeks as well.
Okay.
Brad Bront, Cerberus, and that is built out of Go High Level. And let's talk about the rabbit hole that Go High Level can be. It's amazing and it's great. Build it yourself, sure, and you can. But if you want something that's pre-built that has years of perfection behind it, and Tony, I'll let you speak to this. Brad's program is incredible. He's thought about everything. And at the end of the day, it can run a lot of the stuff that you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
seamlessly, right?
I really, when I came into the system, I got rid of I had Calendly previously. I was using Jungo for my CRM.
Okay.
I had I was using I wasn't using 360 SMS. I'm so happy to tell you, I don't even remember the name of the SMS system I had, but I don't use that anymore. I was using Phone Burner. It has dialers built in. Now I do use Wave Dialer, which is a
Wave,
three-line
yeah.
dialer on top of
Of
it.
course.
Yeah, so I immediately, and my website, because now it houses all of that. And I
GHL.
knew that I wanted a Go High Level platform. I knew that was the solution, but I also knew that the reality of me building all that, and for those of you that might be thinking that's a good idea, if you're an originator, then I'm going to tell you right now, that's the worst idea ever to build this yourself. There are so many things that go into play with this, and you need people that can build the coding, and that there's Zapier functions, and there's all this technology and components behind the scenes that it is not your highest and best. And I can navigate my way around this system, but
You
only
can.
because of the framework that Brad has built. If he hadn't have done what he has done, there was no way I could make this thing do what it does. So it's really, I couldn't be happier with the decision to enroll in that program a year and a half ago, and I absolutely love it. I think he studies marketing. He's not just a guy running a tech program, but he's helping show us ways to be better marketers. And I'm doing things now
That's
that I
right.
know I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to do or where to start. And so he's really just come alongside and just been an invaluable resource. I can't even imagine, what I would do if I didn't have Brad. It's the best technology I've ever paid for and the best support I've ever gotten on any system I've ever had.
Well, let's go back and break that down real quick too. One of the things he says you could have never done it. I don't believe that. I think you could. You just don't have the time to do it, right? And knowing Brad, I believe he said he started the can of worms back in 2020 when nobody even knew what GHL was. Now there's a lot of people that understand who Go High Level is. But now you've got 5 years of someone who spent almost all of his time and with his team's time too, developing this tech and going through all the difficult processes to get to where it is today, right? So, I promise you, if you go back 4 years ago, doesn't look anything like it does. You go back 2 years ago, it doesn't look, you go back a year ago, it probably doesn't look anything like it does today because he's figured out all the problems that you might have with that and built the tech to work the way it needs to work in today's mortgage market. And, I also talked to him just the other day and he pressure tests it all. So, Brad, half in the mortgage industry, half out, but he keeps his mortgage business open specifically to test the processes to make sure that they function before he sells it because he wants to sell you something that literally you can turn on, flip a switch, and start making money tomorrow, right?
Yeah, he really does. I think that, and I think a lot of us have a tendency to overcomplicate stuff, and he's done a really good job at keeping it simple. So if something goes wrong, I can actually go in and usually figure out where the problem is in the system. And that's because of the framework he's built into the back end of it, not because I'm that advanced. So it's just been a really great decision to go that route. I couldn't be happier that's the path that I landed on. And, now it talks about the ability, from LOS, it goes from our Arrive into the system. So, which we do a lot in Arrive too. I mean, Arrive is an amazing LOS system. I couldn't, that especially from a broker standpoint. I know there's some proprietary systems out there, but I honestly don't know that I've ever heard of a proprietary program being as strong as what Arrive is either in its functionality.
Yeah, I'd love to use it. Unfortunately, Arrive doesn't like lenders as much as they like brokers. So,
Yeah.
so you're
Yeah.
spoiled. And, I'm going to be the kid crying in the corner that I can't use it. But, at the end of the day, it's a great platform. And you also mentioned another piece of tech, and I think we should throw that too, and that's Zapier. And
Yeah.
Zapier is a piece of tech that you can utilize to connect your systems together. So, if you have a account, we'll use a really simple one. This is super basic. You've got a Facebook account and you want to link that Facebook account with your CRM system so that you can run an ad on there and somebody can go from an ad directly into your CRM with outreach. Guess what tool is going to make that happen for you?
Yeah.
Zapier. And
Yeah.
they probably already built a connection with your CRM to where it makes it really easy to go in and just connect the two and have those ads start to run. That's just one thing that it does. There's so much more. So
I
many more
have
things.
figured out. One of the things I used to use Ring Central, and Dialpad was my phone system after Ring Central. And there was one feature that I left behind. I didn't realize that I was leaving behind at the time, and that was to set it up that when somebody sent us a text message to anybody, that it would automatically forward an email. I used Zapier, and I built a Zap so that every time somebody texts a number, it automatically goes to the team email so that the team can handle it. And, that might sound trivial, but the truth is it's really significant because if somebody texts my number, a lead, and nobody else can see it, then it's relying on me to get it someplace. But the way that we've set it up with the Zap, it automatically gets to the team and the team's working on it. They're like, I'll check in. Hey, all right, we've already called them. We've got the consult set, whatever. And we're off to the races. So it really, Zapier is a really invaluable tool. We use it for a lot of different things.
That's huge. So
Yeah.
let's kind of run down the list of everything we talked about today, because your book does AI prompt handbook, right? And at the end of the day, we're talking about all kinds of tools and tools that use AI, right? So number one, Chat GPT or any form of a GPT, right? I think that's where we get started. programs like Zapier that connect everything together, right? Redder, for agent data and client data and refinance opportunities, and soon to be a homebot replacement. Cerberus, our buddy over at Cerberus, Brad Brunt, right, for your CRM system that can handle your phones, your texts, your outreach communication, I think you said presentations, right? And then I think the last one was Brian View over at FinLocker, and his tool that not only allows for you to have a homebot replacement, but it also allows for the client to have unlimited soft credit pulls, and you can link your agents in there as well, so you can co-brand, right?
Yeah. Yeah, crazy. I'm really excited to have a phone call with them this afternoon. I was like, how fast can I get in? Because I really think that it could be another piece, right, that I'm missing in my toolbox that would be about. I think you have to be careful, and I would urge everybody, right? Like, we get exposed to a lot of things, and you have to be very, very careful. To make sure that it's in alignment with what your commitments are, because otherwise you end up with a lot of half-built bridges. Come on over, I can show them to you, because I've been guilty of this. So don't do what I have done, and really identify, hey, is this a tool that actually serves? Does it replace? Does it consolidate? Is it more effective? Is it going to help me run something more simplified? And that was, look, Jungo's super robust, but
it is.
And ChatGPT changed Jungo for me, because I could now build in Jungo. I could literally get ChatGPT to walk me step by step on how to build a workflow. It was still a nightmare. And it was still like, you had to sit aside.
The best use of your time.
Yeah, it was just not. And so when I made the transition over, and then I started to figure out how to do things and I was like, oh my God, there's just no comparison. So it's simplicity, it's consolidation, is it relevant to what my priorities are? And then you make decisions accordingly.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that's literally what I was about to lean into. So great minds think alike is, hey, don't get caught in the rabbit hole of going through all these things, right? At the end of the day, pick the one that's going to solve your problem today, but make sure you're staying focused on doing what's important. And that's outreach, staying in front of your people, staying in front of the people that like and trust, and know, like, and trust you, and continuing to build those relationships. And then as you get to the point where you can introduce these things, pick the piece of tech that best applies to you, that's going to amplify that outreach. Go for that one first. Once you've got that solved, then move on to the next one and the next one. Toni's been doing this for a long time. She's had a lot of trials and errors, but at the end of the day, she's dialed into tech that works for her and her team. And that's why she's got so many different options on the table today. I remember when I first started going through the coaching platform, day number one, I'm like, oh my God, I got to have this and this and this and this and this. And then I had to dial it back and say, you know what? No, I can do this one first.
Yeah.
Now we got there. Now let's go to the next one. Now we're here. Now let's move on to the next one. So don't get overwhelmed. Pick the one that works. What's the first one? What would you pick?
Whew. Boy, out of those things, I would have to go Cerberus, because of the fact that it does the calendar, it does the texting, it does, it has the ability for you to attach to one component and grow from there. So that would probably have to be my go-to.
Yeah. Cerberus first, maybe Redder second, to make sure that you got the right people that you're outreaching to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that it's, I don't know, they're all great systems, but yeah, you've got to be super careful and guard yourself to make sure that you're picking the ones that align. And that goes, what do we hear? We hear this so often. What's the best CRM? What's the problem you're trying to solve? What's the problem you're going to solve? And then you back into stuff.
Amen. Well, Toni, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to drop on today. What did we not cover today that we should have?
Gosh, I don't know. Because I could talk about this stuff forever, right? Like,
I know. We both could.
Like, which path do you want to go down? There's so much good stuff out there. I mean, the tech is an easy one. It's a fun one. I would tell you, all joking aside, I didn't come from a tech background, and I hope that I can be the poster child that if it's something you're afraid of, I promise you, don't be. Just get in and start playing with it. I think you'll find that these tools are going to make your life so much easier. ChatGPT, holy cow. I mean, when we started using that, and I'm like, now every day I'm having some kind of conversation, including how to navigate my teenage children. So
planned out my Thanksgiving dinner. I had it right the whole
100%.
thing down to the menu. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
You never,
Yeah, I mean,
there's so
you
many.
can tell that thing everything. You know, you can build a fitness plan, you can build your travel plans, you can find airlines, you can find all kinds of stuff. So it's if you're not playing with it, start playing with it. But you know, I have to be careful. I have to set aside allocated time so that when I decide to go down those into those spaces as a discovery or you know, kind of a play time versus a
Yes.
productivity time, that I guard it.
It's important. That's another golden nugget. Time block. Make sure that you're getting the things you need to focus on done first, but always
Yes.
set a time for working on your business and self-improvement.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Can we lead with self? And you know what? Forget everything else. Go self
That's the
improve.
next
Everything else
podcast.
will follow.
I love it. I love it. Well, Toni, when the folks out there want to find you, how do they get in touch with Toni Taylor?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So my office is 561-373-0371. And my email is Toni@interconnectmortgage.com. And that is Toni with an I.
There it is, Toni with an I. And if you didn't have time to jot that down, it's okay. We probably just rolled it right across the bottom of the screen, or just go check out the description. We'll have all of Toni's information right there for you in case you want to connect. Obviously, you know, you're probably a loan officer if you're listening to this one, but if you are a borrower, what states are you licensed in?
I am in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and Virginia.
There it is. And Toni's one of the best in the biz. So you're going to be in great hands if you reach out to her and her team. As she mentioned, she's got great people behind her to help make sure your experience is a great one. So Toni, thank you for coming on the show. Just dropping knowledge the whole time. And seriously, we'll have to do this again sometime.
I would love to. Devin, thank you so much. You're awesome. I love what you do. Your listeners are lucky.
Well, only lucky because I get to bring on great people like you. So, well, great stuff, guys. We appreciate you tuning in today. Make sure you keep following back in. You're going to get to meet Brad, one of the people we talked about, Brad Brought. You'll be able to meet Brian View. Both of these guys are coming on here in the next couple of weeks. I think Brian's doing a live stream with me coming up this Saturday. So keep watching the channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share this with 3 friends so we can keep bringing this great content out to you. Until the next time, we'll see you then, guys.